Hi, today I thought we'd take a look at this Maonocaster E2 Podcasting console. I purchased this off eBay for spares or repair, and I think I paid £25 for it, including the postage. So let's have a look what's in the box. Well, it looks in pretty much as new condition, and it's still got this cellophane on it here. So it was described as having no power stroke faulty. So what do we do then? It looks like it's got a DC input of 5 volts here. It looks like it's got a battery in there as well. It looks like it's rechargeable. 2000 milliamp hours, 3.7 volts. And USB charge. Right, okay. I'll get the charge lead out and my little USB tester out. We'll plug that in and we'll see what it measures. Right, I can sort that out. Right, got my little USB tester plugged in here. So let's plug this in and see what it does. Well, we've got a charge light on. I don't know if you can see that there. There's a little red charge light lit up there. And it is drawn some amps. It's drawn nearly 0.9 of an amp there at 5 volts. And there isn't any charging indicators lit up. There's just a red light next to the battery here. So I hope it's just not something as simple as the batteries died or something, or not connected. Because that'll be a bit of a short video, won't it? Right, tell you what, I'm going to leave this a few minutes just to see if it does charge or anything, and then we'll come back. I'll just try the power button first just to see if anything happens. Right, so the power button isn't doing anything, it's clicking but nothing that's happening. So right, we'll leave this a few minutes and then we'll come back to it and see if this made any difference.
A few moments later.
So it looks like the amps it's drawn is slowly going down. It's down to 0.7 of an amp now. Let's just see if it does anything now then. I was just flicking through the manual and you've got to hold the power button down for about 3 seconds it says before it'll switch on. And it's still not doing anything. And I would think the USB socket's working because it looks like it's charging and the charge light's on. And it looks like the battery's working as well because the current draw's going out there. It's gone down to 0.69 now. Right, I think I'll give it a few more minutes and I think we'll start taking it apart. Right, so it's just drawn just over half an amp now and it's still not switching on. Quite handy, this little USB tester. I've had a few people asking about some of the tools that I use, like the blue mat and things like the USB tester, grinding pens and stuff. So I've put some links in the video description if anybody's interested. So let's see how this thing comes apart. I can see 2 screws on the back here, and I guess there's going to be some hidden ones underneath these feet. So let's start by taking this one out. Let's see if, there we go, there's a little hole underneath that foot. Let's see if we can leave those screws in. Yeah, there's a little hole underneath that one. Let's see if that comes off now somehow. There we go. Let's put this to one side. Right, so we have a battery which is just plugged in here. And not a lot else. I think everything else must be on the other side of the board. So we'll just zoom down a bit so we can have a bit closer look. At least we've got some voltage and things marked here. DC 5 volts, OTG 5 volts, I guess that's for the USB port there. It looks like there's a reset switch there. So I guess you poke something down through the jack here and it hits the reset switch. Let's have a look around this board quick. I've got some more voltages there, 3.3, 3.6, 4.4, that's a bit unusual. 3.6 again. I've got a 48 volts there, and I believe that's for the phantom power for a XLR mic. Right, looks like we've got a fuse up the top there. So I'm just going to get the meter. I'll just check that first. Just go into ohms. Let's check the meter's working properly first. Yeah. I think it's got a bit of a coating on here. Well, let's see the fuse is okay. Right, so I'll try checking some voltages. Let's see if I can find a ground here. So I'll see what's in the battery first. So where's a suitable ground? Let's see if there's another place I can get where it's not too close to the battery terminals. I'll try here. Let's get the probes on the right way. Right, so we've got 4 volts in the battery. What's a VSys? Nothing on there. Let's try the power switch. Well, that's doing something when I press the button in. DC 5 volts. So we're not getting anything on that one, unless that's to do with charging. I'll just plug the charge lead back in. And the 5 volts in here. And we'll just try that one again. Okay, so that's the 5 volt input. That must be the power going into the battery. We've got a 5.5 volts. We've got a 48 volts there. Let's have a look over this side of the board then. Let's move the meter over here. We've got some other voltages marked. Let's try and get the meter back in shot there. So it's this 4.4 volts, and that's present. 3.6 there. 3.3 on near enough. 3.6. There's nothing on that one. I'll just try pressing that power button at the same time. Well, we seem to have a voltage missing on there, that 3.6, that's not there. Let's try that one. And there's a 3.5 or 3.6 ion on that pad on B, but nothing on A. I'm not sure what those are for. I can't really see anything else on this board. What's that one up the top there? There's another 5 volt there. And that's there. So we seem to have a voltage missing down the bottom there, that 3.6 A. There just doesn't appear to be any voltage on that. Right, I'll just zoom back out a fraction. So I think the problem's going to be on the other side of this board. That's where all the main chips and things are going to be, I think. I'll just unplug this. So it looks like we need to remove probably about 7 or 8 screws around the outside here. And I think we're going to have to remove all of the knobs on the front, because the circuit board isn't going to come out with these knobs on. So I think we're going to have to see if we can get those off. Right, so that's all of the knobs removed. Let's see what else we need to take off. So we're going to have to undo this ribbon cable here, and then we'll start taking these screws out around the outside. Right, well, I think that's all the screws removed that I can see, unless I've missed any. Right, so what's holding this board in? I think it's just caught on the ends of these. This is a bit awkward to get out. I bet if it's awkward to get out, it's going to be awkward to get back in. There we go. Well, that took a bit of getting out. Right, I can see that being fun to get back in as well. That looks like this top panel is being put on after, and that's why I was struggling to get it out, because then you'd have more room to slide this forward, but obviously it won't slide forward because of these circle bits there, so that's probably why. I think I'll bring the microscope in on this one and we'll have a look over this board, see if we can spot anything obvious. Right, so let's have a look over this board then. So this is the power button just here. I've just disconnected the battery for now. And it looks like we've got another fuse there, fuse 1. So let's see what that measures. Right, so the fuse is intact, so it's not that. Let's have a look a bit further down on this board. Might see if I can zoom out a fraction more. So I've got a couple of power supplies over here. One there and one there. And the rest of it down here is just buttons, so it's just fairly blank around the board, around the bottom there. I've got some IC here, which is a TM1629. I'm not sure what that is, but I'll see if I can find a data sheet for that and we'll see if we can bring it up on the screen. I'm not sure what that chip is, TP4056. And that looks like possibly a MOSFET or something there. That's marked Q3. And there's an unpopulated one marked Q2. So I wonder if that's something to do with the battery charging, because it's round about that area, because that's where the battery plugs in. I'll just point to it there. Just there. Again, it looks like another MOSFET just up here, marked Q1. There's a diode at the top there. Oh, let's just have a look at that a second. See if we can zoom in a bit. Oh, that's a little hole or something in it there. Let's see if I can. It could just be a little scratch or something like that, I'm not so sure. Let's just see if we get any reading on that. Well, it doesn't appear to be shorted, but I don't seem to be getting any reading on it. I am a little bit the other way, but I think that's the other components on the board. Let's just have a look a bit further along there. There's another IC there. I think that's the op amp by the look of it. Let's see if I can focus in a bit better. Yeah, I think that might be an op amp. Let's just have a look a bit further down. And again, I'm not too sure what that one is. Possibly a serial A prom, I'm not 100%, I'll have to look the number up on that one. And that looks like the main microcontroller, I guess. But it looks like it's had the number erased. Let's see if I can get that in any better. There's a partial number on the bottom of it there. I'll just see if I can get that a bit better this way. That looks like BZN 3TCWP, I think that is. I'll see if I can find anything on that, but I doubt it. It looks like the main number's being mechanically removed by the look of it. It looks like there's a 20 megahertz crystal, 24 megahertz crystal there. Let's just continue a little bit further down. Looks like we've got another couple of small power supplies round about the board here. And a footprint for one that hasn't got any components in it. Now I think that might be near. Let's flip the board over a second. Yeah, so that's near that 3V6A. And that goes to there. So if we just flip the board back over again, that comes to here. And I think it's that track that just goes under there. So I guess that's why we've got no voltage on that, because it's unpopulated. There's not really much else on this board. There's just a couple of more op amps by the look of it. Just one here and one here. And I think there's just one more IC over on this side of the board, which again just appears to be another op amp. Alright, I think I'll have to connect the battery back up and then we'll do some voltage measurements. We'll see if we're getting any voltage going to this microcontroller, I think. Because I think that's not processing by the look of it, and I don't know why. So I've just had a quick look on the internet just to see what this chip was, and it's an LED driver and keypad chip, which kind of makes sense because if you see where the connections are coming from the chip here, they seem to head over this way towards all of the LEDs that make up the VU meters. You can see more of them going off over there, and the other lines come down here and they then start going to the keypads. So that's what that chip's for. And also there's some connections here which go to these pull-up resistors, and those are the serial clock and data lines, and a chip select line, I think, that go to the main microcontroller that's over here. So this is going to be where the problem is. So I think what I'm going to do is check to see if we get voltages to this chip. So I think this is a ground, and which one was it? I think it was this pin here. Seems to be one of the power supplies going to the chip. Right, so I'll go on those two pins there and then press the power button. We've got 3.5 volts going into that chip there. I think there's another power line. I think it could be this one. I've also got a capacitor there going to ground, so let's just see what's on the other side of there. I've got 3.27, so I don't know what this chip is, whether it's a DSP come microcontroller or something, and that may be why it's got the different voltages, but there's definitely voltages going into this chip, but it just doesn't seem to be just doing anything. Right, we've got a 24 megahertz crystal here, so I think what I'll do next, because there's probably about 3 things that would stop this chip from working. I mean, the chip may have failed, that could be one possibility, if it wasn't getting any power, but we know it is getting power because I've just checked some of the pins there and it's definitely getting power. If the clock had failed, so if it wasn't getting any oscillations, then the chip wouldn't be to process, so it could possibly be this crystal. If the chip was held in reset, but we don't know which the reset line is because the number's been mechanically removed, so we don't know, we haven't got a data sheet, and trying to find the pin out of this might be a bit of a problem. So I don't know whether we'll be able to repair this or not. So I think the next thing, like I said, is we'll check this crystal to see if it's oscillating, and then I'm not sure where we'll go from there. So right, I'll get the scope set up. Right, so I've got the scope set up now. So if we go on to this pin of the chip here, and then we'll try and switch it on. If you look at the scope there, you can see we're getting a waveform. It's just slowly going up there. I don't think I've got the trigger level just quite set right. If we go on the next pin along, I'll just go on there. There we go. So we've got 20.0026 megahertz going into the chip as well. So now we know the chip's getting power, it's getting clock. So the only other thing that it could possibly be, I mean, unless there's some kind of firmware corruption possibly. I mean, I did have something similar, or a similar problem, on a RGB laser that I looked at a while back. So I mean, it's possible it could be a firmware issue as well, but I don't know whether there's a firmware upgrade tool or something for this, or, but it just seems a bit odd. Like I said, I'm not sure whether we're going to be able to repair this one or not, but right, I'll see if there's anything on the site about some possible firmware upgrade, but seeing as it's not processing, I'm not holding my breath out for that one either. Well, I thought I'd get the laptop and plug the board in with the USB lead into the correct socket here and try and switch it on. Now I did notice when I plug the lead in, we do get the charge light pop on just for a brief moment, and then it goes off. And I've tried pressing the power button and holding it down, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Right, I think I might have made a little bit of progress here. If I keep the power button held down and then plug it into the USB, it detects it as a device, but I can't see where it's actually showing up in the device manager. So I'm on the Maonocaster site, and there's a few different troubleshooting things in. There's a one here, cannot boot, and it just says please check that it has power, please charge it and then turn it on, and you need a long press for more than 3 seconds to turn it on. Well, we've tried that, so obviously that's not working. On files download, there's a guide manual and a few other things. So the only other thing it's got is a update driver download. So we'll try downloading that and see what that's about. But I can't see a driver being able to do anything. Right, so I've extracted the zip file that we downloaded, and there is a tool here called MVPC Tools. And it says run it as administrator. Now it looks like this may be able to flash this MCU. And it says download the file which is included. So I think what I'll try, I'll unplug this, I'll hold the button down, plug this lead in. And it comes up now on the screen with upgrade. So let's see what that does. Well, it seems to be doing something. I'm just keeping my finger on the button here, so... Well, it's still doing something. It says upgrade result success. Right, let's see if it does anything now then. Oh. Yes, I think we fixed it. It's actually doing a lot more than what it did. We've got lights and that flashing away here now. Right, well that looks a bit of a result. So I think it's been a firmware corruption problem with this. How do I switch it off now? There we go. Right, I think I'll get it back together and then we'll do some more testing on it and see if it all works. So that's why it wasn't booting up. It looks like the firmware's been corrupted on this somehow. And reflashing it seems to solve the problems. Right, well I was just going to put this back together, but I think there's another fault on it. So I'll switch it on. I'll just reconnect the battery, that's already on. This is supposed to be the volume for the microphone. And it hasn't got any microphone plugged in, but this is just lit up and it's busy just flashing away to itself. Now, I did have a look online just to see whether that's normal or not, and it doesn't appear to be. What happens is when we turn these three volumes, it shows you the level, and then it's supposed to go back to the microphone level that comes in on the microphone input. But there's no microphone connected to it. And that's flashing quite regular, like it's, I don't know, sort of got a signal going to it from somewhere. So anyway, if I turn this knob, you'll see what I mean. So you can see it going up there. That's up to full, and then when I turn it down, it goes all the way down to 0. But then it seems to be getting some interference or something somewhere, and it's flashing like that. And it's the same with this knob. If I turn this one up, you can see it going to the top there, but then it kind of gets overridden or something. And the same with this knob. So I don't quite know what's going on. I mean, I was just having a little poke around with it just earlier there, and it seems to be something around this IC here. Because when I touch it, you can see we've got 3 lights going up and down there now. So I think I'll bring the microscope in, we'll just have a look over this area, see if there's a dry joint or something. It might just be something as simple as that. So this is the chip here, and it's a 4051B. Now I think this is a multiplexer. I've just had a look at the data sheet, and it seems these 3 pins here select an input or output pin, and there's 8 of them. And I think this one here is the input pin. So what it does, it switches this pin to one of the 8 other ones, which can be an input or an output. So basically it connects this pin, like a switch, to either that pin, or connects that pin to that pin, or that pin to that pin, sort of thing. And there's 8 different positions. So, let me see. These lights flashing here still. So I'm just going to get my meter probe, and I think if I poke these different pins, let's see the first one here. Now if I poke the 3rd pin down here, you can see those LEDs are all bounced up and down, apart from it just goes higher. So I don't know whether that pin is actually connected to anything. If there's a broken track or something. But unfortunately I can't see where that pin goes. I'll just try and zoom in a bit so you can see. I can see a track going to that pin, but I can't see where that one goes. It seems to disappear under the chip. We can see those 3 lines go to those 3 pins, and they're like the select pins. That one's got a track going over that way, but I don't know if this pin's connected or not. So I'm just wondering if something has failed internally in this chip, which is giving the symptoms, or whether that pin actually goes anywhere. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get some low melt solder. We'll put some flux on here and some low melt solder, and we'll remove this chip. Now I was going to use the rework station, but we've got a capacitor here, and that might explode with the heat of the rework station. So I think some low melt solder is probably going to be the best idea. Right, I'm going to unplug the battery first. And get some flux out. Right, I'll put some flux on this chip. Right, we'll put some low melt solder on it then. Right, let's go and grab me tweezers. And there's the chip off. I'm just going to clean these pads off with some solder wick. Right, I'll just give that a bit clean up with some IPA and a cotton bud. Actually, that pad doesn't go anywhere. It's just not connected. This pad here. That's not used. So I think something's failed, possibly in this chip, and it's picking up interference on this pad. Right, I think I'll order a replacement chip. We'll fit it and we'll see if that cures the problem. Right, it's been a couple of days now, and I ordered one of these little boards off Amazon because it was actually cheaper than ordering a chip from RS. I think it was 3 of these little boards for £5, and it would have been at least £5 postage from RS to order 1 chip. So I thought, well, these might come in useful for something anyway, if I've got any Arduino projects or whatever. So, right, I'll get this chip removed, and then we'll fit it onto this board here and see if that sorts the problem. First thing I'm going to do is add a bit of flux to this chip, and then we'll use the rework station to heat it and remove it. Right, so there's the chip removed. Right, I'm going to put a bit of flux on this board first. I'm just going to use the soldering iron to solder this on because it's in close proximity to that capacitor. I think I'll start just by putting a bit of solder on this pad. And we'll get the chip in place. Right, we'll just give that a bit of a clean up. Right then, we'll give it a test. Right, let's switch it on and see what it does now then. Right, it's still the same. It hasn't made any difference changing that chip. Well, that's weird that, because it seems to be on that pin. There, when I press it, you can see it going up and down even more now. It's like that pin's picking up interference, but that pin's not even used. Right, I think I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on this one. So, I've been looking at the data sheet for this chip, and I looked on the Texas Instruments site because I was wondering what happens with floating pins. You know, are they okay to just leave floating? And what it said on the TI forum and on the TI site was if you've got any unused pins, they should be tied to ground. So what I've done is I've soldered a wire from this pin, which doesn't go anywhere, it's not used, and I've soldered a small wire to ground to see if that makes any difference. So let's get the microscope out of the way, and let's switch it on now and see if that makes any difference. I'll just zoom out a bit. Well, the light's not flashing now. So that seems to have cured that problem. Let's see if, when we plug a microphone in, if that does anything though. Let's turn the microphone volume up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, that seems to be working now. Let's see if these make a difference. Yep. Let's turn that down. Let's check if that one works. So when I turn these up, it should show you the level, which it does. And the same with that one. Well, that seems to be working now, but I've got no idea why I've had to do that modification. Unless something in the firmware or something's scanning all of these pins and it's picking up a signal from the one that's not connected anymore. I'm not sure. But that seems to have cured the problem, so I'm happy about that. So let's reassemble it now and we'll test it out properly, see if the sound and everything works on it. So I've been having a little bit of a play around with it. As you can see, the charge indicator's working now. And connect it to my phone with the Bluetooth. So I'll just do that there. So if I just select it.
Connected.
There we go. And if I try and play some royalty-free music. Right, so that works okay. This is the main output, but because it's wired, or the main input and output, and because it's wired for like a phone, I can't just plug these speakers straight into it. But if I just select the voice recorder thing there. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So there's the microphone. And if I turn this up, you'll see it go up like that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. So that bit works. We've got all these pad things here that we're going to do various sound effects with. And these must have been set up off the last owner. That's that one.
Let's go.
So those all seem to work. We've got a pitch control here for controlling the pitch of your voice. So we're testing, that's normal. This is very, very low pitch, very, very low. And you can go the opposite way. And you can make yourself sound like a chipmunk. Yeah,
rather amusing.
So that's the pitch control. We've got a reverb here. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Karaoke.
1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. So we've got a bit echo there. And there's an auto tune here, which I don't know what that
A
does.
major, B flat, B major, C major.
I've tried it on the laptop with the USB and all that seems to work as well. So yeah, I think that's it. All up and running again now. So right then, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, please subscribe. Any comments or questions, please leave it in the comment section below. And as always, have a great day. Thanks for watching.